So I'd like to introduce you to my friend, my mentor, my main funning bone dude, Michael Pritchard.
Santa Clara and San Mateo, I love this community. I have worked with your children for over 40 years. Kindergarten to college. One day you'll find me on the carpet with the preschoolers, and the next day I might be talking at Stanford. And I just think that if we have a solution, it's going to begin here with the kind of leadership in this room. This is the place where leadership has to happen. Mahatma Gandhi said, "There's more to life than just increasing its speed." I saw a bumper sticker the other day. It said, "I'm not in your hurry." We had a young student who lived with us from Chad who used to go, "Big Mike, sometimes you have to slow down and let your soul catch up to you." Tonight is a night for our soul to catch up to us in community unity. When I was a kid growing up, I had a World War II father. Many of you might have had a World War II father. I love him. I miss him every day. Stephen Ambrose said, "When it came to World War II, we sent our best. They did their best, and the world was saved from evil." I miss my dad and that generation. But I was raised by them. And like John McCain, I feel them inside me as I motion my way through life into my 70th year. And I think about my pop a lot. Many of you might have been raised by a guy like my pop. Fill in the blanks for me.
As long as you live under, you'll do as, or you can. You want something to cry about? If everybody else jumped off the bridge.
And my all-time favorite.
Do you want me to turn this car around right now?
Who could blame my pop? All he had for a role model was John Wayne. Who doesn't love the Duke? The Duke was, well, the greatest line ever delivered on education was delivered by John Wayne in the movie Sands of Iwo Jima. Duke looked at one of his young Marine recruits and he said, "Life is tough, but it's a lot tougher when you're stupid." You can't find a better line for education. And then in a heartbeat, my father taught me America. He would whistle off the front porch. In the 50s, when I was growing up, you could hear dads whistle off the front porch, all in my neighborhood, World War II pops. And my brothers and I would take off running to get home because if you didn't get home on time, you didn't get fed. Does it look like I missed a meal? I had a bumper sticker on my truck that says, "Bulk up, big people are harder to kidnap." Well, I tried that Ultra Slim Fast and I found out it tastes great on Ben & Jerry's ice cream. So my pop would count heads as we walked in, all boys. And he looked at me and he says,
Why is that one kid on my front porch every night at the dinner hour?
I go, "Pop, I don't know." The kid was 6, I was 10. I was the youngest. I said, "I don't know, Dad."
Well, go find out. That kid's out there every night. Doesn't he have a dinner hour?
So I walk out and this little boy, Jimmy's sitting there. I go, "Jimmy, why are you out here every night? My dad's getting mad." And he goes, "I don't have anybody to whistle me home, okay? I don't even get fed. I go home and there's no food, okay? We're having a hard time." My dad was from a family of 13 and my mom was from a family of 9. I walked back in and let me show you how World War II guys cry.
Tell that kid.
I said, "Pop, he doesn't get fed." He goes,
Tell him to come inside and sit at the table with the rest of you, all right?
A week later, we had his 2 brothers. We fed them all summer long. I don't remember being poor. I don't remember having no money. I remember going to a nice Catholic school with my mom and dad loving me. And I grew up in a neighborhood where if you did something wrong, bad news would beat you home. I remember the America I grew up in, and I live it every day. I enlisted at 17. I became a medic, taking care of wounded. And 48 years later, I promise you, I'm still doing triage on the streets with kids and homeless and people that I love. And it's why tonight is so important. Now, when you work with kids, they teach you more than you could ever teach them. I love kids who are a little different. I had a kid who was dyslexic. He goes, "Hey, man, Mr. Mike, did you know that the words silent and listen have the same letters?" I go, "Wow, L-A-S-T-E-N-S-I-L-E-N-T. How'd you know that?" "Oh, man, I misspell a lot. Everybody call me stupid, but I'm smart in another way. They tease me because I'm dyslexic." He goes, "Did you know that the words secure and rescue have the same letters? Did you know that the word reactive and creative have the same letters? Silent and listen, secure and rescue, reactive, creative, heart and earth. And did you know that the word earth without art is just eh? And did you know that the word blame is just me at the end with blah, blah, blah in front? And did you know that the word shame is just me at the end with shh, shh, shh? That's how teasers and tormentors and bullies work. They put you down. They make you feel ashamed. Now, I know this is hard for you to believe, but I was a learning different kid. I didn't have dyslexia. I had, like we were talking, attention deficit disorder. Many comedians that I work with have learning differences. But see, I learned that I was smart in another way. I worked for the Giants. A little kid come up to me and he goes, "Hey, Mike, you know what ADD is? I have ADD. I go, "Steven, I got ADD. I know what it is." "You know how many ADD people it takes to screw in a light bulb?" No, how many? "Hey, want to go to a Giants game?" He's not kidding. But I could sit at Skywalker Ranch for George Lucas, and I could sit in a small room going,
Fear is the path.
Can you imagine I had ADD? Imagine that. Robin Williams, Jack Black, Eddie Murphy, Jim Carrey. Now picture this. Many of the young men that I worked with and the young women I worked with in probation parole had learning differences. And they were in a struggle. And to many of them in the rural areas of the world, in the barrios, in the ghettos, it was more important to not have somebody call you dumb, so you acted tough and bad. And that's why they wound up in trouble, trying to escape the stigma of not being smart. And I would see them at prisons and I would see genius. I mean, there's incredible genius in these young women and men. And I think that learning different kids teach us so much. And it's why it's important for us to do everything we possibly can to help their families that are in struggle. Many of them struggle because they have to pay extra money, and sometimes they wind up spending, trust me, I know this because of probation and parole, more money to save the kid than to save the house. Why we do this is important. Down in Pismo Beach, I was working, one of the kids got up and he says to the whole school, "You don't know me, you call me the school shooter, the school loser, the school owner, but you don't know me." A lot of kids don't get it. I have Asperger, high-functioning autism, and a lot of times I self-isolate in the cafeteria and the library because I just can't handle all the loud noises. It comes with what I have. And so it's like really important for people to get and understand that I do need friends, and I do need socialization, and I do need people to be my friend. And I hope you all get that and decide to understand me and make a friend of me, because chances are really increasing you might have a kid like me one day. And then what would you say? The importance of us listening to hearts. As I talk to kids every day, I tell them, this is why it's important for us in this great San Mateo and Santa Clara to make connection with the heart. Great teacher by the name of Helen Keller was asked, "Oh, Miss Keller, it must be hard for you to be blind." And she said, "Well, it would be if I had no vision." We see with our hearts. And we need to teach our kids and our family and our community to see with its heart. We need that. Why? The little boy that's getting picked on or teased and laughed at is someday going to be the paramedic that comes over to our house and lifts our baby son up out of the bathtub and saves his life. The little girl that's laughed at because she's dyslexic will be the nurse that sits up all night long with your mom in the hospital taking care of her. The boy we call crybaby and sissy, and we tease him incessantly. We make fun of him being effeminate or shy or awkward. He'll be the emergency room physician who saves a member of our family, and we'll remember who he was. A little girl that gets teased and she isolates a lot because she's so shy. Nobody knows she's got a mom at home with breast cancer, and they're living in their car. When she comes to school, she sits alone in the library, sits alone in the cafeteria. And if we ever get our kids, who sometimes don't understand how grateful they should be, to make a friend of her, one day they might hang a $100,000 piece of her artwork on their wall at home, because nobody can paint California like her. She's a gift. As I work with kids, they teach me. I love the way they teach me. They make me laugh and think. They make me crack up. When I'm teaching stuff, I'm always laughing. I told them one time, this is how smart, just like Harrison, brilliant young people coming our way. Enlightened reinforcements are coming our way. Bright, brilliant, smart, wise kids, technologically advanced and emotionally intelligent. I was talking to little kids in kindergarten. I go, hey, don't overstand people, understand people. Fourth grader raised his hand and goes, yeah, but Mr. Pritchard, don't you think we need understanding as well? Understanding of ourselves and others? I did the Keanu Reeves shot. Whoa, dude, whoa. Whoa. Talking to a second grader. I said, boys and girls, you don't have to blow someone else's candle out to make sure yours shines brighter. This little girl, second grader, she goes, Mr. Mike, if you do go around blowing out other people's candles and bullying them, eventually you would be the one in the darkness. They're coming. Fill your hearts with hope, because they will help us find a way to house people and reprioritize what is important in our lives. Should we look around at 72,000 people dying of opioid addiction and overdosing last year, 68 the year before, 64? People are depressed, they're sad, they're lonely. That's why I love kids, they teach you. They're so bright. I was talking to kindergartners and I go, what'd you learn today by what I said? Don't let your sad turn to mad, because then it all gets bad. Wow. I said, what'd you learn? Little kid goes, don't let their bad day be your bad day, or your bad day be their bad day. Don't play angry tag with people. I go, can you come to Washington, D.C. with me? We all need to use our words as shields and not as swords. When you see the person is cynical, remember that a cynic is somebody who knows the price of everything and the value of nothing. Sarcasm comes from the Greek term, the tearing of flesh off the human spirit. And as Mark Twain said, the container that pours those toxins out on others does the most damage to itself before it's poured. Think now how we treat each other. Compassion. I did a whole movie called The Happy Movie. You can see it on Netflix. The Neuroscience of Happiness teaches us. One word makes a human being happiest in the whole world. Compassion. Loving and caring about other people and the community. And America needs to take a walk there. America needs to be conscious and get there. That's why I love special kids. I've been a coach at Special Olympics for years. Special kids are amazing. I think they're spies from God. I think special kids are living thermometers of love. We took a group of Special Olympics kids to San Quentin to play, and there was a 6'8" convict getting ready to jump ball against our little Down syndrome guy. The referee goes, he's ready to throw the ball up. And our little Down syndrome guy looks up at that great big convict and he goes, "You're all mine, badass." So that was the first time that guy laughed in years. I call that a miracle. I was playing aggravation, a little marble and dice game with 3 down kids. I go, "Wait, you can't play without the dice, guys. Where's the dice?" One of them goes, "Mike, we'll pretend we have the dice." I get a 5. He needed a 6. I go, "Jedediah, why didn't you just get a 6? "I'm not a cheater." And then in a heartbeat, a child can teach, because we hear the word all the time. Retard, that's retarded, you're retarded. Oh my God, you're such a retard. Look at your clothes, you're retarded. Where'd you get that? It's retarded, you're retarded. Folks, like we couldn't learn from a human heart. You ever been on a Special Olympics? If you get a chance, come on, come join us, you'll love it. Boom, the gun goes off. I've been coaching out there. This little girl, 10 years old, is running. Oliver Pop, he's a city fireman. He's had a couple of heart attacks, but he's the first one on the bus. And he's fearless. And he will come for you if you're hurting. And he will fight a fire anywhere in California, Redding to San Diego, to save homes. Because firemen and cops and paramedics know what home means. It's all right. We don't have time for applauding. Listen to this, though. This little girl takes off running. You ever seen a kid run and laugh? It was amazing. She's going, "Yes! Woo!" She gets all the way down to the finish line, 40 yards in front of everybody, and she stops. And I'm her coach. I go, "No, Annie, McCarthy, come here, walk to me. Don't stop, don't stop. Don't stay there. No, you will not stay there. Come walk to me. You win the gold medal, you win, here." "I will stay here for my friends. You said the best ship to sail on is friendship." And she turned and she put her hand out for her friend, who turned and put her hand out for her friend, and then all 6 kids held hands. And they came across the finish line together. She goes, "Woo! Together we all could win." Our kids call her retard. Our kids use that word. Think now how we talk to each other, folks, in America. Think. Gentle, gentle as we go. Compassion, kindness. Unwind, remind, find kind. Blank out. Remember, Mo walked up to, this is how I teach my young veterans coming back from PTSD. They go, "How do you meditate, Mr. P?" I go, "Well," Mo walked up to Curly and goes, "What are you doing?" And Curly goes, "I'm thinking, but nothing's happening." Empty your mind. Forgive to live to forgive. Thankful and tranquil. Attitude of gratitude in this latitude. We live in a blessed portion of freedom and the light of the world. And then there's this wisdom that we have to have, as Aeschylus said. With every drop of pain on the human heart, wisdom grows. Some of the wisest human beings I know are homeless. And some of the most grateful human beings I know are grateful because the real successes in America aren't the people that love money and use people. They're the people that love people and use money. Gentlemen, as we go, watch your tempers out there. I tell my guys on parole, anger past 30 seconds is ego. And one of them goes, and the ego is not your amigo. Wow. Gentle as we go. Watch that temper. I was teaching anger management. A lady at the airport said, a guy walked up to me and goes, do you have any idea who I am at all? She goes, Big Mike, I just got on the loudspeaker at the airport and I went, folks, there's a man over here who doesn't know who he is. If any of you recognize him, please come over. I am assuming he's lost. Let it go, folks. Nobody can get your goat unless you tell them where it's tied. Remember to laugh. Remember not to worry about what they think. What people think of me is none of my business. Who cares? They don't know my heart. They don't know my journey. A great poet named E.E. Cummings said, to be yourself in a whole world full of people trying desperately to make you be exactly like them is to fight the greatest battle that ever was or ever will be. Oscar Wilde said, be yourself, for crying out loud. Everyone else is taken. Gentle, kind, thoughtful, awake. Attitude of gratitude in this latitude. Amenity of serenity. Finding our way home. When my brothers and I would run home and we'd see Pops there, he'd be standing at that thing just looking at us, just grateful that he and my uncles were home. They went overseas and they caught and stood against darkness and returned here to help build lives. They were not rich men. They were wealthy souls. They were powerful men because they knew you make a living by what you get, but you make a life by what you give to others. Churchill. So gentle as we go, laughing. Had a 100-year-old Marine at Marines Memorial. I go, Tommy Malloy, what's the best part of turning 100? And he went, the absolute lack of peer pressure. Watch how you talk about others. Hear me now. Two snakes were going up the road, and the one snake goes, hey, are we poisonous snakes?
Yeah, sure we're poisonous. Why would you even ask? We're rattlesnakes.
Well, I was gossiping about other people, and I bit my own tongue. I think I'm in trouble. Some of you aren't laughing hard enough, folks. Think now. Think. You have colleagues and friends. Friendship, relationships, partnerships, sportsmanship. Those are the ships we sail on. Those are the ships. And remember that there was always violence in our world, and anger, and disrespect. But we can build a spiritual firewall in our community in Santa Clara and San Mateo by showing compassion to suffering. When we do that, we live better, wiser, stronger lives. At the end of the Civil War, a great man by the name of Wadsworth Longfellow wrote these words. Hear them now. And in despair I'd hang my head. There is no peace on earth, I said, for hate is strong and mocks the song, peace on earth, goodwill to men. But then I heard the bell peal loud and deep. God is not dead, nor does he sleep. The wrong shall fail, and the right prevail, with peace on earth, goodwill to men. If we understand each other, don't look for the external, but tonight share some of your abundant wealth. And why? Folks, at the end of the chess game, the pawn and the queen and the king go back in the same box. No matter how rich and powerful you are, how important you get to be, on the day you die, the size of your funeral still pretty much depends on the weather that day. Some of you are definitely not laughing hard enough. It's perspective. The pharaohs thought they were taking it with them, but it's actually at the Rosicrucian Museum in San Jose. Wisdom is this. We live in a great freedom-lighted nation. It will never be diminished, ever. Because the souls in this room can show the souls across America the importance and the connection of compassion to the homeless. I'll tell you one last story. I was describing Scrooge to third graders who were very wise. I said, Scrooge, why? Dickens said Scrooge was, well, he was a clutching, grasping, wheezing, skinflint, intolerant. But he was Scrooge poor. He was as solitary as an oyster in his own pain. So I said to the kids, can you imagine? He's all clammed up like an oyster. I don't like anybody. Nobody should get to know me. I don't like anybody. Got everything I need, but I don't like anybody. And I said, don't you hate that? Doesn't that make you angry? And a third grader who looked like a third grade panda, you know, if he's a little Puerto Rican kid. I love this kid. He was the sweetest little boy. He goes, Mr. Mike, you're teaching us wrong. I go, Raimundo, how am I teaching you wrong? And he goes, don't hate the oyster. If you love the oyster, you can create a rainbow pearl inside their heart. And then they would like probably open up. And I started to cry, you know. I got to tell you, tears that do not flow will make other organs weep inside of us, folks. It's good to cry and grieve. Shakespeare said in Macbeth, always give sorrow words. Grief that does not speak whispers to the overfraught heart and bids it break. Now, folks, tonight we can make a difference in lives. When my pop would see us coming home, I remember this line by Frost, Robert Frost, the poet laureate of America. Home. Home is that place you go where they have to let you in. If we create homes, not just houses, and we show them, they will know what homes are by how we treat them in the community. Live in community unity. I'm honored to be with you tonight. I feel blessed and appreciative. And for as many times as I've been here with many of the folks, you've been very generous to our community. And I thank you before. So now I'm up here sweating like Lindsay Lohan at a sobriety checkpoint. And many of you think I'm the gray-haired John Goodman. But I'll tell you who I am. I'm your neighbor that loves you. Help others find me and other men and women like me. Help them find the neighborhood. Neighborhood is where we need to build. May God bless this community and its wealth and abundance. Let's make a difference tonight, and I thank you.